Hi, fam, and welcome back to the tripod. We're your hosts, Heidi, Hope, and Heather, identical triplets and three of 10 siblings. In today's episode, we continue our conversation on what it was like to grow up in a big family. And we are so excited to welcome our sister Pam, or PJ, as we sometimes call her, to the podcast. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I look forward to chatting.
Well, we are so excited to have you here. For our listeners, Pam is child number 5 in our family, and she happens to be older than the three of us by 14 years. You know what they say, the older, the wiser. So let's find out. Today, we're excited to talk to Pam. We think it's going to be really interesting because Pam, given that she's child number 5, falls smack dab in the middle of the family. So we're going to get to hear the perspective of a true middle child. Yeah, Hope. I think it's going to be interesting because she was sandwiched between the older and the younger siblings. And so can't wait to hear about some of the stories that only a family of 10 can tell.
Me too. That should be great. So, hi again, Pam, and thanks so much for joining us today. As Hope and Heidi just mentioned, you had the impossible job of surviving as the middle child. So, before we dig into that in a little more detail, why don't we start off with a mini biography? Why don't you tell our listeners all about yourself?
Okay, well, just like my four older siblings, I was born in Boston at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, moved to Marblehead, that seaside hamlet, as you call it, when I was
You
3 years
listened. You
old.
listened to our podcast.
Yes, when I was 3 years old. It's interesting that I actually have memories of when we moved here. But I went to Catholic school for 8 years, and then I went to Marblehead High School. I then went to University of Massachusetts to get my BA in economics in Boston University for my MBA. I am married to my high school sweetheart, Bob, who I met at 17. And I have three children, or two children. I'm sorry, you have to start over.
Thinking about the grandkids.
I was. So I have two adult children, three grandchildren, and one on the way in November, which I'm very excited about.
Congratulations. So
So
excited.
exciting.
So I have lived in Marblehead mostly for my entire life, which is because I love it. I think it's a beautiful town. In my career, I had a very exciting and successful career. I got to travel pretty much all over the world. And I retired almost 5 years ago and have been really enjoying having the time to, as they say, smell the roses.
5 years. Wow, that doesn't seem possible. Doesn't seem
Yep.
like that was 5 years ago, Pam.
Yep. Time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
do you miss Pam? Do you miss anything about your job?
Um, it's interesting. For the first 5 years out of there, I got all the things I wanted to get done over the years at my house. And but I've been very involved in some outside industry organizations. I'm also on investment committee, and I've done a fair amount in the not-for-profit world. So I've enjoyed it, and I've met a lot of new people. I do have days where I miss my old job, but there has been a significant amount of turnover and change. So a lot of the people that I miss aren't even there. So, and I'm in touch with them. So I would say overall it's been a plus. I think most people are shocked that I was able to retire 5 years ago without having a meltdown because a lot of people thought I was defined by my job, even though I really didn't think I was. It's just that when I do something, I do it 150%. But I really didn't have a difficult time walking away,
Mm-hmm.
which probably seems odd to you.
No, it doesn't seem odd. I just really meant to. It's part of the routine. The routine.
Yeah, no, I think what actually made my retirement easier was the fact that I retired at the end of 21. So it was still the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it made it easier because people weren't even going into the office. So it wasn't like they were there and I wasn't there. And I did a year where I served as an advisor to them and could have stayed on longer, but elected not to. And I still have my finger in the industry, serving on an investment committee and a couple of advisory positions. So I keep my finger in the business.
You're keeping your fingers in the industry, but sounds like you're able to enjoy your retirement and enjoy those adorable grandkids.
Yes, and I retired from real estate investment advisory business at the perfect time because as a result of the pandemic, the office market, which represented at the time about 30% of my portfolio, tanked. So I'm actually quite happy that I didn't have to go through another downturn in the real estate industry because over 35 years I had to deal with three of them, the great financial crisis being the worst.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, you've seen a lot.
Yep, I have.
Well, Pam, thanks so much for giving us that background. I mean, I feel like I know you a little bit better listening to it, but had a question for you in regard to family. So, what do you feel like were some of the best parts of growing up in our family?
I think the camaraderie was great. You never felt lonely. I would say up until you were born, the three of you, um, our household seemed pretty normal, even though there were a lot of kids. But you have to appreciate that I went to parochial school, so most of my friends came from families of 5 to 7 kids.
Right.
So it didn't
Mm.
seem unusual,
It
right?
was normalized.
It was kind of normalized. It was like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm from a huge family. But then when you guys came along and it became 10, it was a bit more chaotic, although fun. But what I've come to realize is I really define myself as being part of a big family and having identical triplet sisters because I realize that when people meet me and they ask me where I'm from, I say automatically, oh, I live in a town called Marblehead. That's where I grew up. I'm one of 10 kids. I'm the middle child of 10 kids, and my youngest sisters are identical triplets. So, which normally you really wouldn't give it much thought.
Yeah.
Um, but it pretty much defines who I am. And I think it tells people that meet me a lot about me because I think when you come from a large family, you tend to be more accommodating, empathetic. Um, you're not selfish because you can't be. And it just really kind of defines who you are.
Yeah, everybody has to pitch in, right? There's
Yeah, everybody has to pitch in.
There's no hiding.
It's
Yeah.
interesting too, like one of the things that you talk about in regard to that question that I asked about what are some of the best parts
Hmm.
growing up in the family, like most every single one of our other siblings that we interviewed before you, they've all said that same thing, like the camaraderie and kind of this idea of never feeling like you're alone.
Right. And I also think that growing up in a large family and being the middle child, which the middle child tends to be the pleaser and the enabler, I think that really helped me be successful in my career because my job was actually, pretty large. I managed $32 billion of real estate and had about 160 people in my group. And so I was used to dealing with a lot of different personalities.
Yeah.
And I understood that diversity wasn't really about gender and color and religion. It's about different people and different thoughts and different backgrounds and perspectives. And so I think that really helped me um, adapt and accept and kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, that's a great perspective.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too, because especially in a workplace, I think oftentimes we forget that everybody's human and
Yes.
everybody's come from a different background, right? Different.
And everybody has their own stuff going on in their life,
Everyone's dealing
and
with their own
they
things.
have different things going on throughout their life. And sometimes I think leaders do not succeed because they can't accept that. And I think that if you show your employees that you understand and you care, they stay committed to you and they'll do a great job for you. And
Yeah.
I would definitely stand by that. I completely believe that over a 35-year career.
Yeah. I mean, it's
All
interesting.
great points.
Yeah. The
Mhm.
comment you make because, just like a family is a system, an organization
Right.
system too,
I,
right?
I would also say that the industry that I was in I was probably a pioneer as a woman in the industry. And people will say to me, why do you think you were successful in an industry that was dominated by men? And I said, because I survived three older brothers.
Yeah.
who kind of beat the crap out of me, not physically, but were always teasing me, watching what I wore. Any boy that called up the house, they were very, they were hovering.
Yeah, I mean, those experiences though, like you take them with you
Oh,
into
absolutely.
so I
Right. So they toughened me up, as they say.
they
Every experience, good and bad, you carry with, right? So
Absolutely.
there's tidbits to take out of I think all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's kind of amazing how experiences, particularly when you're younger, like really young, impact you through your life.
your entire life. Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Heidi can tell us a lot about that, right, Heidi?
Yes, I can, as the youngest of 10. But
And
do you have
and
other,
and and as a, licensed clinical social worker.
well,
Hmm.
there's that too. Yes. Hmm.
Yes.
Pam, any other things you want to say about some of the best things about growing up in the family?
I think that growing up in our family, in addition to having a broader perspective on different personalities, I think I was actually born fiercely independent. And I think being a member of a very large family made me even more independent. And when I look back at some of the things that I did as a young child without supervision, it's really amazing. And it made me who I am.
yeah. Vincent shared a story when we were talking with him about accompanying Deb to a dentist appointment, I believe at Harvard Medical or Harvard Dental. I think Deb was 10 and was that right, you guys? Maybe Deb was 10 and he was 9. And
Yeah, something
Sounds
like
about
that.
right.
they were
Or they
taking
were
a
in
train
Boston
across
together.
the city by themselves with no
He
adult.
used to get on. He used to get on the subway in Sullivan Square in Charlestown when he was 6 with Mark and go to what now is Macy's, but was Jordan Marsh, and return things for Mom.
I
Yeah,
just,
it's
That
remarkable.
And
I mean,
I'll share a story with you of independence. My uncle Ed, our uncle Ed, was very good to me, and Mom let me get on a bus in Marblehead and take a bus to the subway station in Revere at Wonderland. And she walked me out to the bus, but then I took the bus all by myself to Revere, which is probably, without traffic, a 20-minute bus ride. Got off the bus, went over and got on a subway, and took a subway to East Boston. And my uncle met me there.
how
And
old were
then
you?
I was 8 years old. And then took me shopping and took me to dinner and then drove me, back to Marblehead at night.
So
I mean,
Emma
you think of that now. Yeah.
is Emma 8 now?
Emma just turned 9.
Okay,
And
so that
she
would
just was allowed to walk home from school for the first time. And her school is 3 blocks from her house. But I mean, as
so
kids, we were just very independent. And the reason I said I was born fiercely independent is Mom told me when I was in kindergarten, I actually remember this. She was walking me to school on my first day of kindergarten. I went to public school for kindergarten before I went to parochial school. And we got as far as this little variety store called Gillis's or Mandy's.
oh, I
And I
love
said to Mom, I can go the rest of the way by myself. You don't need to go with me. And she said, well, I'll come pick you up at lunchtime. And I said, oh, no, I know how to get home all by myself. And Mom told me all throughout the year, she goes, I knew that day. She goes, I was heartbroken. She goes, but I knew I never had to worry about you.
That's a nice memory.
It is a nice memory.
Yeah.
Mom also told me that I was the happiest of her 10 children.
Oh, wow. We'll have to
And
dig into that
yes, and never complained. Always was happy with whatever I got.
huh. Well,
Yep.
we'll have to hear a little bit more about that.
how old
But
you,
it sounds sorry, Heidi, what were you going to say?
I was just wondering how old you were when she told you that.
Oh, she told me that through my whole life.
For your life.
I
So
mean, while
how
she was alive. I mean, I spent a fair amount of time with Mom because I lived locally,
Hmm.
and just through my whole life.
so
After I was
so
married, I spent a fair amount of time with her.
so Pam, should instead of calling you PJ, should we call you Happy?
Just call
No,
me.
she just said, you were independent and you never complained about anything. She goes, if we gave you a gift and I knew you didn't really want it, you would say, "Oh, Mom, this is wonderful. Thank you so much."
So it sounds like you have some fond memories of growing up in a big
Oh, I
family.
have all my memories are great. I actually don't have one bad memory of growing up, which you may say that just is not believable. But I'm telling you, I really feel like I had a wonderful childhood and a wonderful life.
Well, it's very funny that you're saying that because Mark said something similar. He told us that his childhood was like living in Shangri-La.
Well, I wouldn't say Shangri-La, but I would say that I do feel it was something like Wonderland. I mean, if I think about, our childhood and in the winter, we would go sledding on the hill. And I know Keith shared the story where he cut his hand, and at the time he blamed me for trying to kill him, which I didn't. Um, we
Well, like,
skated. We skated in the winter like all the time at Red's Pond. The summer we were at the beach from 8 in the morning, went home for lunch, and then we're at the beach till 6. And it takes a village to raise a kid. Mom couldn't be at the beach because after you guys were born, because she had all these children. But women in the neighborhood, Mrs. Taylor, Mrs. Montville, Mrs. Root, they all watched out for us.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I try to imagine now, like my grandkids at the beach by themselves, and it horrifies me.
yeah,
But we were absolutely fine because everybody was watching out for everybody's kids.
Yeah, it was a different time.
it was a
It was
different
just a
time.
different time, and it's so sad. I wish that my grandkids could experience that. I
Yeah.
have to say that Pete's kids, Emma and James, get a little bit more of that where they are in Dallas because it's very community focused and the houses are all close and the school's close. So kids stop by, ring the doorbell. I mean, I had that here with my kids too, but not like when we were kids.
Yeah, no, I think Heather, Heidi, and I have talked about that too, right? Like having the independence and especially in the summer, leaving home after we had breakfast and not coming back until dinner time.
Yeah,
And, you know, mom and dad really did not know where we were. They knew we were like in and around and they knew we were
right.
safe, but it's so interesting to think about, even us with our kids. I mean, our kids have never experienced anything like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So Pam, so nothing you would say sort of that you felt were like challenging when you were growing up in our family system?
It was interesting. I mean, because there were 10 kids, we didn't have that much money.
Yep.
But we had a lovely home in a beautiful town, and I don't feel like I ever really wanted for anything. I went to Catholic school, so I had to wear a uniform. So I probably didn't feel that challenge you would feel today of, needing, a brand new fancy outfit every day because we wore uniforms. And a lot of the other kids are in the same boat as I was because they were in big families.
Yep.
I would say the biggest challenge after you guys came along was just, the house was small. And when you came along, I had to go from sharing a bedroom with Stephanie to going up to the third floor. And I remember being 15 years old and, going up to the third floor and
The
like
attic.
on my own at the age of 15, painting it all by myself.
Was Steph up there too? Did Stephanie move
Yes.
up there with you? She moved up there with you when you moved up there?
Yeah. Yeah. But I really basically asked mom and dad if they would take down the wall between the closet and the third floor, which they did. And I went out and got paint. I probably paid for the paint. And I painted the whole thing at the age of 15.
No
If
one helped you?
we, no, and if we used the car, right, we had to put gas in it.
Right.
Dad obviously was very strict, curfews and all that. And at the time, I was probably argumentative over that. But in hindsight, it probably kept me out of a lot of trouble
Hmm.
because I had to be home at a certain time, right?
Well, I just remember funny stories about maybe you getting home a little bit later, but
Oh, yeah.
Bob saying, don't worry, Mr. Strout, she was with me.
Oh, right. And then Bob would drive, like 80 miles an hour to get me home on time.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, to be
So, I
honest.
mean, no, I can't, the only challenges were, when dad passed away, which had a major impact on my thinking because I just remember feeling like, wow, life is short, number one. Number two, thinking to myself, most women are one man away from financial challenges. Not so much today because most families, husband and wife, are both working. But at the time, I remember thinking, I'm not going to be financially dependent on anybody ever.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that though, growing up in a big family. And I think,
Hmm.
that's something that all of us have, focused on too, because you always want to be able to quote, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all saw the impact that it had when dad passed and, mom was not the breadwinner. She was a stay-at-home mom
Yeah.
and,
And she
she was
wasn't
pretty
really financially literate either,
and right.
Right. Right.
in terms of paying bills
That's
and,
absolutely correct.
yeah.
So, I guess I would say my biggest challenge personally was I did not have a close relationship with dad. I would say Deborah had a closer relationship with him. It was pretty typical of that generation. Um, but I just didn't. As I got older, I think he got closer to me, and I knew he'd do anything for me, but he was just never affectionate at all. And
Mm.
so Ed kind of filled in on that end.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, every one of our siblings has really sort of said that, right?
Yeah,
That Ed was
Ed was
one of the
very good
second
to us. I mean,
brother.
he took my friends and I horseback riding up at Pine Tree in Beverly Farms on Sundays. He would
Wow.
take us to Hamilton Hill to go skiing. He would take us to McDonald's. He'd take us for ice cream. I mean, he was kind of crazy, but he was like very good to us.
Yeah, it sounds like he was,
And so I think that helped.
well,
But yeah, Dad, no, he was actually gone a lot.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask in terms of, not really feeling like you had a close relationship with him. And as Hope just said, a lot of our siblings had the same experience with dad. And what do you think personally was the reason for that? Do you think that he was just gone a lot, working, and he was stressed about trying to provide for a family of 10?
I
Do you,
think he was stressed providing for a family of 10 kids. I think that he grew up as an only child. And I think he had a very tumultuous relationship with his mom.
Hmm.
I think I reminded him a lot of his mom. And because I was very independent. And it's really fascinating because I have a press clipping on our grandmother, and I'm actually a lot like her.
This is Marguerite you're talking about,
Yeah,
Marguerite
in
Quigley?
terms of her involvement in things, she did a fair amount in community service. I mean, she really was a woman ahead of her time, though. Like,
yeah,
she took in people in the neighborhood who suffered from domestic abuse. I mean, she had a pretty good sized home. And my understanding is that women in the neighborhood knew that if they needed a safe haven, they could go there.
well,
And if the
That's just
husband
really
came around, right, she was just like, she wasn't taking any crap from anybody.
almost kind of like a pseudo woman shelter, sort of.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then I remember as a little kid, she had this, her best friend was this woman, Fanny Jackson. She was a black woman, and I believe she worked at the State House. I don't know what her job was. So our grandmother was very connected, but I think part of that had to do with the fact that her mom and dad passed away, I think, at a relatively young age, and she was a caregiver to her brothers.
right.
And as it goes, I believe she basically helped finance the education for two of her brothers who went through Harvard.
that's
Right.
right. That's what Vincent told us.
Right. So I mean, so I try to think about like the way Dad was. I think it's just a whole combination of things.
So when you say he had a tumultuous relationship with her, what was behind that, do you
I
think?
think she was probably a little overbearing with him. He was an only child. I'm sure Vincent shared with you that she really wanted him to go into the priesthood,
Absolutely.
and didn't want him to go to Harvard. He got into Harvard. I won't say why she didn't want him to go there, but she didn't want him to go there. She wanted him to go into the seminary, which he did. And mom gave him a going away party, but he only lasted there, I think, less than a month.
Right.
Right. So I just think, maybe I'm sure she did everything she could for him, but my impression is that she kind of ruled the roost in their household because I never really heard much about dad's dad.
Right. And he died, I'm not sure how old dad was when his
Yeah.
father died.
So, yeah. So, it's just interesting how different ways of being brought up impact you. It's just, I sometimes feel sad because I think about the relationship that, my husband has with our two kids.
Right.
And like, our kids don't leave here without him saying, I love you guys, and giving Stephanie a hug. And he usually does a trip a year with Pete where they go off. He's leaving next weekend to go to Dallas and drive the car back here with him.
Mm.
And it's kind of sad.
Yeah. It's just like you think about the good, important things that you would have
Yeah.
been doing long
I
term.
think, I mean, he got to see me graduate from college and graduate school and get married and all of that. But as I was older and had my job and he saw me becoming successful in my job, he seemed to like get along better with me. I don't know why. And he would do anything for me. Don't misunderstand. He was, if I ran out of gas and needed him to come pick me up, he'd pick me up. He'd pick me up at the subway. When I think about it, I mean, you raised 10 kids, the financial stress had to be
Immense.
overwhelming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I do think like what you just said about him being an only child and him probably being around older people like his mother and her
Probably.
probably felt a lot more comfortable relating to older people. So when his kids,
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting though. Dad had a ton of friends. People loved him. He was like his mother in that way. He did a lot of favors for a lot of people.
Yeah,
yeah,
we understand that too, and we would go to a lot of the American
Ye-
Legion
Yeah.
events
Yeah.
as
He was always helping people out. And,
yeah,
I just think he enjoyed that. I mean, between you and me, I'm not sure he ever really wanted to move to the suburbs,
well. Mm,
right? I think it was really Ed that drove moving the family to the suburbs because Ed didn't want us to be raised in Charlestown because at that time, Charlestown was considered the car theft capital of the US, I think. It had projects, and now Charlestown's like very, fancy and
gentrified and
expensive and
yep,
all that. Yeah, but I think dad was a real city kid.
yeah,
I think he liked being in the city. And so I think he missed that aspect, the socialization aspect of being in the city and being able to come and go as you please.
yeah.
yeah. Well, Pam, thank you so much for sharing, the good and some of the challenging. So I
Hmm.
guess if we sort of move along, I would ask you, and I know you said, you were very independent, but what was really your perception of yourself within our family? What sort of role do you think you played?
I was always really social. And so I actually think they got kind of a kick out of me because, I mean, by the time you guys came along, I was gone a lot. I mean, I was just very social.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see you're laughing, Hope.
So you were the social butterfly.
I was not expecting that response. I don't know what I was expecting, but
I
I
mean,
was not
I played the role everybody else played. We all had chores to do, and um,
Pam,
You were
do
you
you
were a cog in the wheel. That was Mark's.
no, I mean, I feel like I did my chores. I stayed out of the way. I was a rule follower. I didn't get in much trouble. I
do
kept
you
most of my friends out of trouble.
do you think like do you have the persona of a middle child though, do you think?
Oh, definitely. I feel like it's my responsibility. to keep everybody together. And I tried to do that for a really long time in our family. Finally, I gave up,
Well,
which is really sad, you
still
know?
you still do it in a
No, I
way.
mean, I automatically think about, oh, I should reach out to this one. They need help. Or, I try to be a good sibling, you know? When Keith moved to Las Vegas when his kids were young, they came to visit with us every summer, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
I love all your kids like they're my own. I would do anything for them. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
I think very holistically about the family,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so I'm sure that came from being the middle child.
Making
But
sure.
when I say I was very social, I mean the role I played, it's like I actually think I created I think they got like a kick out of me.
Our siblings.
Oh yeah, because my friends were always coming over. All my friends, who many of them I'm still friends with today, they all have the best stories about, coming to our house and mom making them lunch and tuna fish sandwiches. And
Oh, yeah.
it's just great. It's great for me to be able to share that. Um, but I had a lot of phone calls coming in. Remember, it was before cell phones, so the phone would ring and it would be friends, and
We
our
remember.
brothers would pick up the phone, and if it was a boy, they'd hang up on them and make comments about the clothes I was wearing and tell me, you can't go out wearing that, your dress is too short, your hair's too whatever, take off the makeup.
Were they
Would
trying to
you?
be protective of you by
Oh
sort of?
yeah, absolutely. Them and Ed and Dad. Ed used to follow me.
To
Yeah.
make sure you were okay.
Oh yeah, they'd follow me to see if I was up in Fort Sewell or Crocker Park and make sure I wasn't with boys or doing anything bad.
So
Big
you
brother
would
is watching.
say, Pam, you would say, like, if you think about yourself and the siblings that are older than you, would you say
Yeah.
you guys were close growing up?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was very close to Keith.
Yeah, he said
Um,
the same.
He said that too.
very, very close. I mean, I feel kind of sad that I mean I've tried for a long time. Like when I go on business, I'd call him. But life happens. You have your kids, you get busy.
Yeah,
But
You do.
Keith and I both went to Catholic school. Um, Mom would get phone calls that he did something bad,
Right.
and then I'd be told, you got to walk home with your brother, and make sure he comes home.
The walk
And
home.
every day I went on, he had a paper route all through Peaches Point. And he would have me go down all the long driveways to deliver the paper. And then he had a BB gun, and he'd tell me if I didn't do it fast enough,
He'd shoot
he
you.
would shoot me in the butt.
Did he
did you
ever?
ride your bike along with him?
Oh, absolutely.
So you would ride your bike and then you would
Oh,
hop.
yeah. And in the winter, I mean, we did the paper route in the winter, so we were very close. And the other great thing about our neighborhood is the older kids took care of the younger kids.
Yeah.
So I'm sure somebody mentioned like the Livingstons had a trampoline until Deborah broke her ankle and then they couldn't have it anymore. But it wouldn't be unusual for there to be a 10 to 15-year age difference among kids in the neighborhood going out to Browns Island,
Hmm.
being on boats, swimming, being on rafts. It was very, everybody kind of watched out for you,
Yeah.
right?
Come
Yeah.
one,
Didn't
come
mean they
all.
were like hanging out with you, but they watched out for you.
Yeah.
Kind of like the older ones were sort of watching out and supervising the younger ones, and
Yeah.
but there everyone was kind of integrated.
Yeah. And then within the house, I mean, by the time, Vincent and Mark, were busy at college. I mean, I probably bore the brunt with Stephanie of doing a lot of dishes.
Hmm.
So we each took turns doing the dishes, and if I mean, we didn't have a dishwasher, and so people always comment on how fast I can clean the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, because I had to get the dishes done so I could go out and meet, my friends.
It's so funny. I struggle with that today. Like anytime we have dinner, I
Mhm.
immediately get up and start clearing plates. And
Yeah,
it drives Jim crazy. He's like, please just sit and relax. And I'm like, I will relax much better once all of this stuff is kind of taken care of.
Right.
right. Yeah, I mean, I heard you guys chatting in Keith's interview about not asking for help, which I rarely ask for help. But when I ask for help, I want somebody to do it now.
Right.
I don't want them to do it 5 minutes from now.
No.
Right.
So
And
Because you don't ask. When you do
I
ask.
think that drives my family crazy,
Mine too.
I think
right? They're like, "What is wrong with you? I can do it in 5 minutes." I'm like, "No, if I wanted you in 5 minutes, I would have asked." So I just do it because I need to have it done.
it is.
So I'm
It's
sure that's a little bit of OCD, not diagnosed, but definitely OCD.
I
Oh,
No,
think we're all
I
the
think
same.
Yeah.
it's more about like
Space.
well, it's more about the difficult that we have
Uh huh.
asking for help because you make these adaptations and adjustments in big family systems and in small family systems, right?
Yeah.
But like, so when we're finally at a point where we're asking for help, like we're acknowledging that we need it,
Hmm.
we're expecting that we get it like
Yeah.
immediately. Because otherwise, why ask, right?
Right. Right.
Like,
Especially when your family says, "Oh, you can ask for help," and then you do ask for help, and they don't do it immediately. It's like, forget it. I'll do
right.
it myself.
I should have known better. I'll just do it myself. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Like just and
Yeah.
then like that little like
Yeah.
I'm resentful, I'm mad, but like it's really my problem. It's not yours.
Exactly.
I have a funny story about you guys. So I probably was a sophomore in high school at Marblehead High School. So you were probably two, and I was in chemistry class, and somebody from the principal's office came and said to talked to the teacher, and the teacher called me up and said, "You need to go home immediately." So of course this is before cell phones, right?
Oh,
And so I literally ran from Marblehead High School to home.
because you thought
I got
something.
to the house and mom was sitting on the stairs crying because you guys had locked yourself in the upstairs bathroom and the water was running, not
Oh no.
heavily, but the water was running and mom was beside herself. She was embarrassed to call like the fire department.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to get up on a ladder and go through the window to undo the door to get you guys out. And you're all in there, like bawling, crying your eyes out, all huddled. And you would take in baby powder, tampons, and the water, and it was like all over the floor.
how did we turn the water on? Was it a sink or
No,
the
mom must have put like the water must have started like
The
filling the
bath
tub,
or
not
something.
heavy or anything, but she didn't realize that you could lock the door. I mean, it
Oh
sounds
my
like
gosh.
mom was being neglectful, which she was not, but she was just like crying her eyes out. I mean, honestly, I don't know how she did it.
Think about that though, that she called the high school
to have
to
you come home?
contact you to run home instead of calling the police.
Right. Well, because she probably was worried how it would be viewed.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, I
And
totally get it, but
she
it's
was
just
just embarrassed, right? I mean, it all worked out fine, but when you think about it, it's crazy. I still remember running home like it was yesterday,
I mean, it's just so
right?
I've never heard that story before. Like
And
that's
it's
I love it.
high school's probably a mile and a quarter from where we grew up. I would imagine.
yeah. I mean,
At least. Yeah.
Yeah,
A little further, yeah,
Probably more
even.
than that, yeah.
yeah.
well,
But yeah, I ran home and you were like all huddled together, like bawling your eyes out, and it was like a mess.
well, thank
And I
you.
think her mom was just like exhausted,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Like, I don't know how she did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for rescuing us, Pam.
Yes.
It's a delayed, thank you, but thank you.
It's all right.
Um, well, I know you've been talking about like this next question in a sense, you've alluded to it, but how do you think that the family changed, if you think it did, when the three of us were born?
It became more chaotic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but not as bad as people would imagine.
With three additional.
Right. But, the other thing is, like I said, I was 15, so that's a very social time for a teenager.
So were you freshman in high school or sophomore?
I was in eighth grade when you were born.
Okay.
And I'll never forget this nun. I was like 10 minutes late for class. You were born on Friday, and it was Monday, and I was 10 minutes late, and she like humiliated me in front of the whole class. She was just a nasty woman, but
Yes, because a
she
lot
was
of
like,
nuns
"Oh,
did in
look
Peru.
at so and so. She thinks she can show up 10 minutes late because she now has identical triplet sisters." I mean, like, how abusive is that?
It is so
Yeah.
shame-based. Yeah, it
But
is.
and I still remember that, right? Yeah, so I was in eighth grade, but this me running home, I know I was at Marblehead High School, so I know I was a sophomore because I spent ninth grade. Ninth grade used to be at the middle school,
Right.
so when
Right.
I finished parochial school, I was there for a year. Um, yeah, and I mean, I remember the day you were born like it was yesterday. I was at a restaurant called Yawtown Seafood in Old Town Marblehead, where the art gallery is now, or next to it, and an ambulance went by. Like we pitched in and we bought like French fries, all our friends.
Yeah.
And the ambulance went by, and I was like, oh, I wonder if my mom is like having the baby.
You actually thought
And
that.
oh, absolutely, because mom had gone to the hospital, or not the hospital. Mom went to the obstetrician the night before for an appointment. Like she used to do evening appointments. And I remember she said to me, oh, the doctor checked me and I said, I feel multiple hands and toes. And he just said, no, I'm having a big baby.
Wow.
So mom felt it. Mom thought she was having more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, they didn't do ultrasound and you guys were on top of each other. But yeah, I remember it. And I got home. I left and went home and the ambulance had already gone. So
Yeah.
my guess was good.
And I know when we were talking to Keith a couple of weeks ago, I had asked, I mean, when you say more chaotic, it
Well, I
suggests
mean, three
that
babies,
dad
diapers.
kind of be there to assist mom and dad,
Well,
right?
think of it. They didn't even have disposable diapers.
Right.
Yeah.
So, three babies, I mean, it'd be overwhelming for anybody just to have three. I mean, one of my daughter's biggest fears is that she was going to have like three
Multiple.
babies. She said, I wouldn't be able to work outside the home. I go, you'd be working okay. You just wouldn't be working, getting a paycheck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Oof.
but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And then you put on top of the fact that Faith was only 2 years different than you. So I remember mom
Yeah.
sitting down on the stairs with the three of you in her arms, and Faith would have her arms around her neck.
Oh.
And mom would like go on her butt down the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. But Keith was incredibly helpful. Keith was really good with you guys, and he was incredibly helpful.
Yeah,
And our
when you talk about disposable, there were no disposable diapers; they were all cloth. Yeah,
yeah,
Keith and Mark talked about getting real familiar with Peach's laundry.
yeah. I mean, you had to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
She didn't have a diaper service. It was crazy when you think of it.
But
Yeah.
were
I
you
mean,
guys, I know, so it was like all hands on deck, but, and Keith was like, everybody was like happy to kind of
Yeah.
help out. But I was wondering when I asked him, was anybody sort of resentful about the fact that, they had to sort of
No,
chip in
I
ways
don't
that
think
maybe they didn't
so. Well,
before.
first of all, we all had kind of chores anyway. We all did rotations on dishes. It just is, Vincent was out of the house and, I was at the age where I got stuck doing a lot of dishes. I didn't mind. I mean, mom did all the cooking and everything.
yeah.
But no, none of it was like, in fact, I really feel like I didn't have to like pitch in an extraordinary amount, right? I mean, our mother is amazing. I honestly don't know how she did it.
Yeah, she was a goat.
Right. And probably one of my happiest moments is after dad passed away, Deborah, mom, and I went to Ireland
Hmm.
and we went to the home where her mom was born.
Mm,
It was a wonderful trip. And I'm so happy we got to do it because
a blessing.
mom didn't really get
Blessing.
to go many places.
Mhm.
Right. She was at home taking care of kids.
Yeah. And sadly, and I'm sure this is true of our generation anyway, just because people had kids and didn't have a ton of money, it's not like we took family vacations.
Right.
Right, like everybody does today.
Yeah, so you don't have those kind of memories. So a lot of it was, Sunday dinners, and um, that was a great area of education, sitting around the dining room table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
You
remember that
know,
very well.
yeah. I mean, the other thing, like Dad, I remember as I got older, being stressed out with work and school, graduate school, and he said to me, "Everybody has that kind of stress. Like, get over it."
Yeah.
I probably should have seen a therapist and been on drugs, but I wasn't. But I did get over it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so
Well,
Pam, you've alluded a little bit to the fact that mom and dad both passed, but tell us how you think both of their deaths had an impact on you. What was the impact you think?
Well, like I said, when dad passed away, I think I always knew life was short, but it was like, oh my gosh, your life can change in a minute, right?
Yeah.
And then the immediate feeling of, oh my gosh, dad passed away, mom's a stay-at-home mom. There's a bunch of kids in the family. How's this all going to work? And personally, it affected me. And then, like I said, I'll never be dependent on anybody financially. And I never was. From the time I was a little kid, I wasn't. I had like 3 jobs at all times, right? So I'd say that's how that affected me. I think mourning dad was really difficult because we were so focused on taking care of mom. There really was no time to grieve dad. So it was weird. After mom passed away, I started having like a lot of dreams about dad
Yeah.
because you couldn't grieve because or you had to grieve privately, but you couldn't like talk to mom about it because she was so
Sad
distraught,
about it.
right? He was the love of her life.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
I
so that
think
was really hard.
we've talked about that a lot, and I think, I mean, especially for me and Hope and
Yeah.
Heidi talked to their own experiences. But when Mom was sick and dying,
Yeah.
that's really when I grieved Dad, who had
Yeah.
died. You
I
know,
think that's true of
and
me too. Yeah, I was devastated when mom passed away, especially the fact that she died on Mother's Day, which, when you think about it, what better tribute
I
Right.
know.
than the
Seriously.
fact that she passed away on Mother's Day? But I think honestly, I think the only time in my life, honestly, that I felt depressed is when mom died. Like I just missed her terribly
Yeah.
Can you
because I
remind us
had
how old were you? Just remind us when mom
35.
35.
She passed away when Stephanie was 6 months old.
So Steph had been born. Okay.
Steph
Yeah.
had been
Steph was born.
born. I had a lot of trouble having a second kid because I had been sick. And so mom was so excited I had a second baby, as evidenced by the fact that, she called Heather at Boston College at, whatever time,
like
some
seven
crazy time.
something.
But
I was in the shower. I've told these guys this story a million times, and when my roommate barged into the bathroom, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, your mom's on the phone, and Pam just had a little baby girl, and she's got red hair."
which she didn't. But yeah, no, I just felt like such a hole in my heart,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
right?
mean, it never sort of gets filled
Yeah, and
or,
I feel so sad that she didn't get to know like all, your husbands, your kids. Pete, I mean Peter, my Peter was like so close to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He used
was.
to always ask Mrs. Melanson next door, "What's wrong with my grandma?" Right?
it's,
And fortunately, when mom passed away, Peter became very close to Jane, his other grandmother.
Right.
And mom got to see her, but it was just, and it's funny. I think a lot about this. Mom used to say, "Honey, just do your best. Everything will work out." And now
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
I don't think she was even listening.
Yeah,
No,
she probably wasn't.
I think
She was
she.
like, things are going to work out. Things are going to work out.
that's what
Yeah,
she
I
probably
think she
told
was so exhausted. She was just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll work out."
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would say that with tests, too. If you were
Try
worrying
your best.
about a
Yeah,
test, she's
honey,
like,
do
Yeah.
your best.
did you
Yeah,
try
I
your
mean, the other
hardest?
thing, I would say mom wasn't a particularly religious person. Dad was, but I think mom really, I mean, she did what she had to do, like, but she wasn't like dad. Like, dad was so upset when they stopped doing, the mass in Latin. Um, he used to sing at the top of his lungs in church, and I'd want to hide. I mean, I was
Same
married.
us.
I
Remember
was
that.
married, and I'd go over to the house on Sunday, and he would say to me, "Did you go to church?" And I go, "Yeah." He'd say, "What mass?" And then he'd ask me, "Who said the mass?" And I'm like, "I'm 25 years old, and I'm
stop.
married."
Right. Right. Leave me alone, Dad. I don't have
Yeah,
to.
I don't
yeah.
have
It's
to
just,
listen to
it's
you
just
anymore.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So funny. I know we felt the same thing when he would sing too. And now, it took me a while. I was like, gosh, I used to be embarrassed. And then I'm like, wow, he was really his singing and the way that he sang just was sort of showing his devotion and love for God.
I think so, yeah. But I mean, how it affected me, I would say that, I mean, when my mom's deathbed, she asked me to make sure you guys were okay. Um, to make sure that you guys would be okay and everything would be all right. But it was just hard for her to, she knew she was going, right? Leaving your kids has to be the hardest thing ever.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And I think
the truth is, she'd be so proud of you, and the guys you married and the kids you have should be like so excited.
well,
And
thank
like for me, it
you for that.
sounds funny. I always say to Bob, I go, "Oh, I wish my mom was here to see my garden because she would love it."
You would love it.
It's just a funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, I'm like, oh, I wish she was here to see my garden. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish she was here so we could all pamper her, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's the sad.
honestly, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I really feel like I had a great childhood. And it's funny, two of my closest friends one night said to me, "Well, your childhood was rough." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they go, "Well, there were a lot of kids, your house was small." I go, "I don't feel that way at all." Like like the thought bubble never even went over my head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, again, we've all talked about this, our house, the best part of being in our house was that it was filled with so many people and personalities, and
Yeah.
you never felt like you were alone, and certainly you always felt like you were loved.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with these two friends who will remain unnamed, I mean, they grew up in families with divorced parents. Um, and they loved mom. And they knew dad was like wicked strict. Like they still joke about it with me.
I know. I think our friend Aaliyah is still, has memories of how strict dad was. I think she
Yeah.
was afraid of him.
Yeah, and Holly
When he
too.
would sit in the chair and
Holly,
read,
Holly too.
he'd
I
be
think all
sitting
of
in
our
his robe with his
Probably
glasses
I
down
think all
reading.
of our
almost
dad.
better.
He would
Yes.
say, "Hello, Robert."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was nothing more terrifying than walking in and seeing dad in his chair reading with his paper, and he'd have his glasses on and
Yeah.
put it down, and he'd be like, Heather O'Malley. And you were
Yeah.
like, hi, dad.
Yeah. It's just funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it was all really good. I have
Well,
no
I don't
no
know.
issues.
Um,
I'm not saying I
so,
don't have any issues, period, but I have no issues.
right, of course.
I
So,
always tell my kids when they tell me I should go have therapy, I go, I know my issues. And if I went to a therapist, I'm not sure that you would like what they suggest to me. I say, I don't think it would work out too well for you.
Yeah, exactly.
and
True.
then what's their response?
They just laugh.
Yeah. Well, Pam, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think when it comes to the loss of our parents, as Heidi mentioned, it's really creates a hole in your heart that um,
Yeah, it's
sure
awful.
I'm never sure that it actually ever finally closes. It's filled
I
with
don't
other
think it
things.
does.
Yeah. So, and maybe you've talked a bit about this already, but what do you think that growing up in our family really taught you intentionally or unintentionally about how the world works?
I think it taught me how to live an everyday life, right? It taught me that if you want to get ahead, you have to work really hard. It taught me that life isn't easy, that your life can change in a flash, and that really you can't really look to anybody else to provide success to you, that you've got to really do it for yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, think of it. We were kids. I mean, I knew how to budget, right? I mean, and then I worked in a bank, which was probably some of the best training I had
Yeah.
as a young person
Yeah.
because, I
National
figured it all out. Yeah.
Marblehead Savings Bank, right?
Marblehead Savings Bank. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I did every job there was there and during the summer and then worked as a teller.
Well, what, if anything else, would you like to add? Any insights or any additional stories? Anything you feel like you're just waiting with bated breath to share?
No, just that I mean, I honestly feel incredibly grateful and blessed for my life, right? I feel like it's been a wonderful life. I have no regrets.
You and Jimmy
I mean, the only
Stewart.
regret I have is I've been trying to get you all together with our other sisters now for like 7 years to go someplace, and you always blow me off.
No, I'm not. We're not. We're going to plan that.
Yeah, right. We've been
Life
talking
is
about it
short.
forever.
It's
Huh?
not blowing off. I just think that, like, to
And
your point,
everybody's busy, I know, but you like really have
busy.
to make the time,
For sure.
Yeah,
right?
we just need to decide where and when,
Where
and
and when.
then that's it.
It
Like,
doesn't have to be anything fancy or expensive or right.
It
I
will be
just
fun.
think,
That's one thing we can all be assured of.
what is that hope?
It will be fun no matter where we go and no matter what we do. It's going to be
Yeah.
fun. We know
It's
how to
just
have fun.
the years are, ticking by,
Yes.
That they
As,
are.
right?
as evidenced by our, lines on our faces.
You don't have any lines on your face.
they're all well earned, though.
That's
Well earned.
exactly right. It's
Well
all
earned.
well earned,
It's
lived
called wisdom.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Age
mean,
and
do you
beauty.
have anything else you want to ask me?
Hmm. That's a good question. None of our
Well, I mean,
siblings have this.
yeah, I would say, I mean, is there anything that you feel like we didn't ask that that you want to ask them? And it's probably just to what Heidi said.
Do you feel like you have a good sense of how the dynamics worked in our family?
Meaning what?
Just between the older siblings, the younger siblings, our parents. I mean, I witnessed dad being much more in tune with you guys and being affectionate.
Well, that's what everybody else has said that we've talked to so far, that as dad got older,
Yeah.
More.
he was a lot more affectionate. And I
Yes.
think from our perspective, for the three of us, we had such limited time
Yeah.
with dad and also
Mhm.
with mom. And
Yeah.
we saw mom and dad when they were older,
And mom
right?
Yeah.
was sick mostly, right?
Mom's
Like,
not always super healthy. So like our perspectives and our experiences with mom and dad, I
Yeah.
think are much different because we do remember dad being at all of our sporting events. We do remember going food shopping with dad because
Yeah.
we talked a lot about how mom never had her driver's license, which if you
Right.
think
Which
of
is
a
crazy.
mom having 10 kids and not knowing how to drive,
Yeah.
very limiting in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because our perspectives and our perception of our childhood is, obviously different than what you all experienced, given that you saw mom and dad adding kids to the family, being
Right.
parents to lots of people. A lot of you guys were older and kind of out of the house when we came along.
Yeah. It's funny for me too. I probably had the longest period of time with mom without a younger sibling because
right
there's
before
5 years between me and Stephanie.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So
So,
you've gotten
you
a lot
know,
more.
I
She would have
spent
been
a
more
fair amount of one-on-one time
yep
um, with
with
mom.
her.
But when
Yep.
I think of, I mean, she was just always like, cooking and
Working.
doing laundry. And I mean, it's kind of amazing. You guys, I mean, mom made like homemade bread all the time, cinnamon rolls. I mean, she had like full meals for every dinner,
I
Yeah,
know.
right?
she
We
did
didn't
for us
have
too.
like processed foods. By the
I know.
time you guys came along, I think they broke down and let you have like Fruit Loops and stuff. But
Oh,
like for us,
definitely.
mom made like oatmeal in the morning or scrambled eggs or cream of wheat. She made our lunches.
Yeah.
She did
Um,
that for so long. I mean, even remember during college when like the three of us were obsessed with dance energy and
yeah,
exercise
yeah,
and not really eating a lot. She'd make these like full meals,
yeah.
for us to eat when we got back from, our workouts. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Her
Or
three
she'd
hour
make,
her 3 hour workouts.
yeah,
And I
she'd
do
make
remember, I mean, when
our
my
too.
so when my Peter was little, I said to mom one day, it's got to be so nice to see your kids, growing up and doing well and kind of letting them fly. Like it's so much easier for you than when they were little. And she said to me, "Oh no, honey." She goes, "Those are the best days of my life." She goes, "As your kids get older, the problems just get bigger."
Yeah,
Yep. It's true.
that's
Right.
100% true. Little kids, little problems, big kids,
Yeah.
bigger problems.
Yeah. And so she was definitely very keen on that. And I'm
Um,
sure there's things that mom knew about each of us that they shared with her, which none of us know.
Right.
Well, I just, Pam, I have a quick question on that because, you mentioned that you didn't really have a deep emotional relationship with dad, and
Yeah.
all of our older siblings have said the same. Was
Hmm.
mom aware of that? Was
Oh
mom
yeah. Mhm. Yeah. She used to say to me all the time, "Honey, your dad loves you."
because he had never said I love you.
Yeah, I don't honestly ever remember him saying that to me ever.
Pam, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, mom would say, oh
Definitely.
honey, your father thinks the world of you, he loves you. So she was always trying to fill that hole.
Yeah.
But it's funny because he was affectionate with her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, everybody has said that he softened quite a bit when Faith and the three of us were
Yeah.
born. So certainly, I mean, we all remember saying "I love you" to mom and dad, and them saying it back. Uh,
Yeah.
would Ed say "I love you"? Was
Oh
Ed more
yeah, absolutely.
that way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was very affectionate with me. And
Yeah.
maybe because he noticed that dad really wasn't, I just think it was kind of the way it was that generation.
Were you the best little kid in the world?
I don't think he ever told me I was the best little kid in North America.
Oh,
Whichever one you are, you're the best little kid in the world.
whichever one you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. Whichever one you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deb, Steph, whatever your name
Whatever
is.
your
That's
name
the
is.
other thing. I tell people all the time if somebody gets my name wrong, I say to them, oh, don't worry about it. I've been called everything. They go,
Me
what do you
too.
mean? I go, I've been called Deb, Stephanie, Hope, Faith. I go, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this day I still like introduce myself. I'm like, I'm Heidi. I'm Heidi Abernathy. Like so people know like,
Yeah.
who I
You
am.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think because I'm in Marblehead still, whenever I see anyone, and they call me Hope, Heidi, I'm just like, whatever. Call me
You're like,
whatever you
hey,
want to call
yep.
me.
Yeah. The other
Yeah.
thing I have to say to you guys before we finish is I did come to realize that I do treat you as a unit. Like I treat you as the triplets, right? Like I don't like say happy birthday Heather and happy birthday Hope and I just am like happy
It's
birthday Heather, Hope, and Heidi. And
yeah.
you're not a unit and you're all different, but it's not intentional. It's just the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
mean,
You
we've been
know?
working on separating for our whole adult lives, so
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
staying connected but
Yeah,
differentiating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Pam, thank you so much for sharing all of the insights and the stories that you did today. We're so thankful that you're here and just for always really supporting us the way you have.
Well, thank you. And I'm sorry that I said my role in the family was to be social.
I'm
that's
sorry.
a
I
goal.
I
That's a
just I
goal.
wasn't expecting. I was just not expecting it. I was like,
I
oh,
was the social one. But
You
it
were
is a role. It
you
is
were
a role within a
it
family,
is. It definitely
right?
100% is.
You have
It
the
really
introvert, you have the extrovert, you have whatever.
you were
You have
happy and
the
social, Pam.
fun, you have the rock,
Yes.
you have the
Yeah.
hero, you have the funny
the
one,
comedian,
the
yes.
scapegoat.
Yeah,
You
and
have all
I
of it.
just so you know, when I say mom says I was the happiest kid, I think she was really referring to the I never complained ever.
Well, again, right? It's like the adaptations that you make, right? Like, what's the point in complaining if
There isn't any, right? But I honestly don't.
nothing's going to change?
It's not going to change, right? It's like you
Like,
are what you are, and
right.
what's the sense of complaining?
Don't ask for help because no one's coming anyway. Learn how to do it yourself. I mean, it's true. It's what kids do.
I know.
They just do, right? Because there's already so many needs in the family system. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's like, how do I
yeah.
keep the
Kind of nice
balance?
you asked, but you can't change it, so let it go.
Right. Yeah.
Put it in a bubble,
That's so true. I
blow it
think
away.
the
Huh?
balance. It's Heidi was just saying that it's the kids in a big family system saying like they're trying to keep the balance,
Yeah.
right?
It's like it's
Yeah, you're
homeostasis,
trying not to rock the boat,
right? And
right?
so, like, if you are somebody that requires a lot of attention, then all the parents' attention goes here, and
Right.
you realize that there might be, tension in the system, and you're doing everything you possibly can to not create more.
Right. I know. And I mean, I do think, and whether it's being the middle child or not, I do think that I'm a very empathetic person. And I recognized very early on that mom had her hands full. And it was like I was trying to be an easy kid, I
Right?
think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
I
To
mean,
just stay out of the way, do my best, not get into trouble, right?
Keep your head down and just,
Yeah,
Stay focused.
Chart your own
yeah,
course. Keep your head down.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Pam, thanks so much
See
again.
you guys.
And well, all right, fam. Hopefully, you've gained some insights into Pam's lived experience growing up in our family. Next, we'll hear from our sister Steph, who was born 5 years after Pam and is child number 6. For now, thanks so much for listening to The Tripod. Remember, you can try us on The Tripod on podcast platforms Apple and Spotify. If you want to watch us on YouTube, you can find us at Listen In Fam, The Tripod Pod. I'm going to repeat it again, The Tripod Pod on YouTube. Please hit subscribe to follow us and join the conversation where the Strout triplets are talking. See you soon.
Bye, ladies. Thank you. Have a